What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is your review for Marrying Millions, Season 1, Episode 9. So we start this episode off with, we have Bill and Bree. Bree is back in Texas because, you know, Bill had pissed her off. She didn't like how he came for her. And so she went home for a little while and asked him for some space. Now, Bill was like, oh, shoot, I'm about to lose her. I really screwed this up. I know she asked for some space, but I ain't about to give her too much space, because if she had too much space, then she might decide that she want a man who is closer to her age and not 70 years old. So I'm going to get on this good plane. I'm going back to Dallas, and I'm going to get my woman. And so he comes up in the house, and she's like, what are you doing here? Because I know I said, leave me alone for a minute. I know I had said, give me some space. Now, technically, girl, you are still in his house. So he can come wherever you feel like it. You ain't go to your mama house. It wasn't like you said, give me space, and you went to your mama house. You went to his house, okay? That you just happened to live in. But anyway, he talked to her, and he did apologize, and they had a conversation. And, you know, I still don't feel like Bill was wrong in this situation. I just don't. I don't. But he did apologize, and she was telling him, you know, that she's not that person, and he's got to learn to trust her, and she's not his ex, you know, relationships, and he can't take out on her what other people did to him, which that's true. But I still feel like you was wrong for not answering that man's phone calls and not responding to his text and rolling up in the house at 3 in the morning drunk as a skunk. You was wrong. You was wrong. Okay? But that's 20-year-old shit. That's the stuff that 21-year-olds do when they don't see they got a problem with it. And Bill wasn't wrong for feeling like, listen, because see, he's looking at it from a 60-year-old point of view, and he understand that, listen, at the very least, you call me and let me know you okay. I mean, that's the stuff that my mama do to me, and I'm grown. And my mama be like, when you go out of town, you let me know you got where you was supposed to be okay. All right? Now, she don't care, you know. Anyway. Later on in the episode, he calls his ex-wife over, and he confronts her about, you know, the conversation. He was like, listen. She said, listen, I don't really appreciate what you said to Bree. Like, I asked you to do me a favor, and you talking to Bree, and you talking about that he's a cheater, and he's this and he's that. And she was like, but you are. He was like, but I'm not. Like, I cheated on you, but that was a long time ago. I really love Bree. I really want to make things work for her. And I'm even thinking about proposing to her. And she was like, And, you know, she's giving him that look like, you fool. Like, you such a fool. Like, that's, you know, she's just doing that shaking her head like, And he was like, well, could you please, like, I need you to accept this, because if you accept this, then everybody else will follow and accept it. And she was like, I'm not. He said, but I'm thinking about asking her to marry me. And she was like, remember the other ones? And then I was like, so then my ears perked up. I was like, wait a minute, the other ones? How many women have you asked to marry you, sir? How many other ones have there been, sir? I said, So, but the ex-wife, listen, I don't like the ex-wife because I think I think she's a meanie. I think she's a mean girl. But I can respect the fact that she ain't back up off of it, because she was like, I'm not telling her nothing that I don't want to tell her. I ain't saying nothing nice about you because you a cheater. I'm not going to accept her so to make life easier on her. And she even told them, she was like, well, you know, moving to Miami might not be a bad thing because people will be more accepting of y'all relationship there. I said, oh, Lord. So, yeah, that was them, child. That was them. Then we have, who I want to talk about next? Rosie and Drew. Rosie and Drew are in Costa Rica, okay? They have flown to Costa Rica, honey. They have this bad villa overlooking, you know, the volcano and the mountains and the rain, you know, not rainforest, but y'all know what I'm talking about, Costa Rica. Beautiful. Infinity pool, outside shower. And poor Rosie ain't never been nowhere, ain't never done nothing, ain't never seen nothing. And she is just so caught up, like, this is straight up out of somebody's soap opera romance novel. And I was like, it is, girl. It is beautiful. And she is so caught up. Now, Drew asked her, did you call your parents, let them know you got here safely? And she lets him know, well, they don't really know. And he was like, wait a minute. I'm going to give Drew credit. I don't think Drew is trying to keep Rosie from her parents. I think Drew is taking lemons and making lemonade. I think Drew's thing is, if they're not going to be accepting of our relationship, I'm not going to beg them. You know, it's no need in us having no big, extravagant wedding that nobody's going to come to, or they're going to stress you out over. You know, we're going to go down here. We're going to fly to Costa Rica. We're going to have these first class accommodations. I'm going to make it just as nice and as beautiful for you as I can. But I'm not saying don't tell your parents what's going on. And so that's when he realized that her parents didn't even know that she was getting married. And he was like, well, are you, like, when are you going to tell them? And she was just like, I don't know when I'm going to tell them because, you know, I don't know. And he was like, listen, you really need to let them know. So I think she said her dad knew. But that was it. And he told her, he said, listen, he had an honest conversation with her about it, you know. And I really feel like, I like Drew, and I think Drew really does like Rosie. Now, I ain't saying it's going to last forever, because I think Rosie is very immature, and I think there's some things that may be issues going forward, but I think Drew is sincere. I don't think Drew is insincere with where he's coming from. So we see her later on calling her friend, and her friend telling her, he was like, listen, all I'm saying to you is I need you to make sure this is what you really want. I need you to be... And again, I don't think anybody was questioning the marriage piece of it. Everybody was questioning the fact that she was doing it without her family. Like, I get it that your family has not been very supportive of you and Drew's relationship. But I think everybody's thing was at least give them the benefit of letting them know what's going on and letting them... I hate to say it, but give them the opportunity to reject it. You know, y'all went from we're moving in together to now we're getting married. There's a lot in between those two things that your family has just not been very much a part of. So, so she's upset and she's crying and everything, and so the next day they're getting married. You know, she's got her wedding dress on and they got the guy there, and she comes up and she says, Drew, I need to talk to you. And I was like, oh, she about to call the wedding off and say she want to go home. But she just talked to him about, you know, how she was feeling about her parents not being there and all of that. And he said, listen, do you not want to get married? And she was like, no, that's not it. I'm just not sure with everything with my parents. And he was like, listen, I mean, if you tell me what it is you want, like at this point, I want to get married right now, right here. But I also want you to be comfortable with the decision that you're making. So you need to let me know. But they went on and got married, child. So they married. Okay. They are married. So then we have Genty and Brian. So Genty has not talked to Brian since they had the little argument over the fact that he was already engaged and didn't tell her. But he's at the tux shop looking for tuxes, and she's supposed to be meeting him there. Now, she does show up. She told him, I almost didn't come, honey. I almost wasn't here. And so he was like, well, I'm glad you showed up. And she said, I'm still upset about the fact that you were once engaged. You didn't tell me about it. I didn't know anything about it. And so they talked about it, and I feel like he repeated the same thing he said the first time he talked to you. And he told you, listen, because she asked him, well, how long were you engaged? How long did you know each other? Who called it off? And he was like, I called it off. You know, we were engaged for about a year. I called it off because I realized it just wasn't going to work. And she said, but this woman had money. He was like, and? He said, but if I was a gold digger, wouldn't I have just married her? Like, if I was after her money, I just would have married her, right? But I didn't. So, anyway, so she felt comfortable with his answers. She felt a little bit better about what he had to say. And so they're moving forward with the wedding. And next thing you know, we see her at her house with her hairdresser working on different looks for the wedding. The wedding is the next day, and her friends come through. And of course, what are they talking about? We don't like him. We don't trust him. Well, what about he was engaged to somebody else? What about this? What about that? Like, you're not going to address this. You're not going to address that. What is this and what is that? And, you know, she said, I love him. Like, I need y'all to just trust me. I need y'all to, you know, understand. But I do love him. Like, I've talked to him, and I feel comfortable in what he told me. I love him. So, child, we'll see if they go through with it, child. Honey. Then we have Katie and Shawn. Yeah, Katie and Shawn. So Katie went to go talk to Shawn and let Shawn know that she needed to know where they were going in their relationship. she said, we've been together for a year. We've been dating for a year. I need to know where this is going. I need to know what the next steps are and what that's going to look like. And he told her, he was like, listen, I love you. I like where we are, but I don't want to feel pressured into making the next move. Like I see myself marrying you, just not right now. And she was like, I hear you, but that's just not good enough. Like, because that could be 5 years from now. That could be 10 years from now. Like, I need to know where we are. I need to know where this relationship is heading. And so he was just like, well, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't want to feel pressured into, marriage. And she wasn't happy with it, but, I guess they moved on. So then, he takes her to the jewelry store to get her bracelet size because it was a little too big. The bracelet he got her for their anniversary. And he said, while we're here, we're going to look at some rings. I'm going to find out what she likes, find out what style she likes and all of that. And maybe that'll buy me about another year because, then I'll tell her that I'm going to buy a ring. I just ain't going to say when. Well, he didn't say that. I said that. But he did say to buy him another year apart. So they get to the jewelry store and they're looking at rings. And of course, she's so excited. Oh my gosh, we're looking at rings. Oh my gosh, are you serious? Oh my gosh, oh wow, you mean it? Oh my gosh, we're looking at rings. Well, I like this kind. And she's trying rings on and all that stuff, right? Princess cuts and this cuts and that cuts. And he's like, well, I want at least this many carats. And it's got to be at least this. Well, how much is that? $20,000? No problem, right? And of course, she's looking at him like, oh my God, $20,000. So then they give the jeweler the bracelet for her to size because it's too big. And so she's looking at the bracelet and she said, well, CCs are a little bit harder to size down. She's like, you do know this is cubic zirconium, right? Now, he don't flinch. She's kind of looking like, what? Cubic what? No, diamonds? Those aren't diamonds? Those are cubic cc's. What? And she was like, yeah, like, it's a little harder to size down. She never used the word fake diamonds, but baby, that's what they were. Now, my thing is this. If I thought I was buying a real diamond bracelet and it ended up being a fake diamond bracelet, I'm acting a whole fool. He was just like, yeah. Yeah, and it was almost like he wanted her to just gloss over it. So, baby, next thing you know, she's looking at him like, what are you talking about? What does this mean? This doesn't make sense. What? And he's getting upset, like, forget it, just give it a bracelet, let's go. Next thing you know, production is asking him, is it real or not? Like, is it a real bracelet? And he's talking about something, you think I gotta buy fake jewelry? I don't have to buy fake jewelry. You think I gotta buy fake jewelry? I don't have to do that. And they were like, okay, but is it real? Like, I get it that you're saying you don't have to buy fake jewelry, but is this fake jewelry? And he would not answer the producers' questions. He would not tell the producers whether the bracelet was fake or real. He got in the car. He told me something, we're done, turn these cameras off. He threatened him, told me something, and you better not show that footage. You better delete that. Baby, they got in that car and took off, and production put up a note saying they did not film anymore, but they are still together. I said, so you gave her a whole fake diamond bracelet, and let's be clear, that ain't even the big deal. The big deal is that you was bragging about how many carats it was and how big of a bracelet it was. You was bragging about all of that. That's the big deal. You know what I'm saying? The big deal really ain't the fact that the bracelet is fake. The big deal is that you faking. Baby, it did threaten them, something they better delete the footage. I said, ooh, there was a whole lot with that one, child. So then we have, let me make sure I get the names right, child. Shawn and Megan. I think her name is Megan. The wedding is fast approaching. Shawn is nervous. And he nervous about the wedding, but he also nervous about this prenup that he ain't never signed. And he ain't never tell his daddy he wasn't going to sign it. So he goes to visit his mom. And we learn a little bit more about what's going on. So his mom and his dad met like in the 60s, I guess, 70s. His mom was like a flower child, wild child. They were in love, they dated, whatever, and then right before the wedding, he puts this prenup in front of her. Now, prenups in the 70s ain't nothing like prenups are today. Prenups in the 70s were very one-sided and very much in favor of the person with all the money, usually the man. Um, Now women, the other person can put stipulations and put different things in there. And what she told him was, she said, listen, let me be clear about something. I really feel like that prenup sort of ruined our marriage, because once I signed the prenup and we got married, then your dad just felt like he could do whatever he wanted to do, and he sort of had me trapped. Like, either I'm gonna, because if I decide to divorce him, I walk away with nothing. And so it was a really bad, the prenup really sort of gave him license to sort of treat me badly. And she told him, she said, listen, your dad's really not playing about this prenup. Like, I get it as far as Megan not wanting to sign one, and I understand how she feels. She said, but he ain't playing, and you're going to have to really make a decision. And she even said in her confessional, like, I'm worried that if Shawn doesn't sign the prenup, his dad is going to cut him off. Like, it is just that serious. So, I don't know, honey. We're going to see what ends up happening with them. I think that's all the couples we saw on this particular episode. I believe that's it. So, anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think. We're going to drop it in those comments. Peace.